June watched the sky burn. From the safety of the underground research station in Antarctica, he stared at the wall of screens. Each one showed a different city turning to ash. Seoul, New York, London, Beijing, all burning. It had been just 3 hours since the ships appeared. They came without warning, without message. Huge dark shapes that blocked the sun as they moved across the sky. No one knew what to call them at first. The news called them visitors, then attackers. Then the broadcast stopped. June pressed his hand against the cold screen showing Seoul, his home, his family, now just fire and smoke. Anything from the military channels? June asked, his voice breaking the heavy silence. Day shook his head. The security chief had been trying all frequencies for the past hour. Nothing new. Last message said the weapons are unlike anything they've seen. They don't destroy things like bombs. They change the air itself, make it burn. 5 people remained in the research station. Just 5 out of the billions who had walked the earth that morning. June, the environmental scientist. Dad, the security chief. Hannah, the doctor. Sung and Jin, the engineers. They had been studying climate change in the ice. Now they were witnessing the end of the world. I don't understand, Hannah said, her eyes red from crying. Why? Why would they do this? No one had an answer. The aliens, the Vrek, as they called themselves in their one and only broadcast, had said only, your resources are claimed. Cleansing begins now. Then the burning started. Outside, the harsh Antarctic wind howled. It was -40 degrees, a frozen wasteland. Yet it was now possibly the safest place on Earth. The attack had focused on populated areas. Cities first, then towns. The burning spread from there, following the people who try to run. The satellite view is updating. Jen called from her station. All eyes turned to the largest screen. The image made June's stomach turn. North America was unrecognizable, a blackened mass with spots of orange fire still visible from space. Europe and Asia looked the same. The oceans appeared dark and choppy, with strange patterns forming where the burning atmosphere touched the water. They're not just attacking us, Sung said quietly. They're changing the planet. June moved to his research station and pulled up his climate models. His hand shook as he input the new atmospheric data coming from the few weather stations still reporting. The air is becoming toxic. The chemical changes are. He paused, trying to find simple words for something so terrible. What they're doing is making Earth's air poisonous to humans, but perfect for something else. For them, Day asked. Maybe. Or maybe for whatever they plan to put here after we're gone. The lights flickered. The station ran on geothermal power, but the systems were showing stress from operating at full capacity. What do we do? Hannah asked. The question hung in the air. June looked at each face in turn. They were scientists, not soldiers. They had no weapons that could fight beings who could set the sky on fire. But they were alive. And as long as they were alive, humanity remained. We survive, June said firmly. We record what's happening. We learn about them. And we find a way to fight back. Jin laughed bitterly. Fight back. Look at those screens. The world is burning. Not all of it. Joan pointed to their own location on the map. Not here. Not yet. And if we survived, others might have too. Day nodded slowly. Deep mines. Military bunkers. Submarine bases. Exactly, said June. First, we make sure we can survive here long term. Then we try to find others. As they talked, a new alert blinked on the screen. Something was landing on the Antarctic coast, just 200 miles from their hidden station. They're here, Sun whispered. June felt cold fear grip his heart. But alongside it, something else burned. Something the Vrek had not managed to destroy. Hope. Let's get to work, he said. Earth isn't dead yet. 6 months had passed since the Vrek burned the world. 6 months of hiding underground, of careful rationing, of wondering if they were the last humans alive. The research station was not built for long-term living. It was made for 20 people to stay for 1 year. Now 5 people needed it to last forever. Food supply report, Des said at their weekly meeting. The security chief had taken charge of their supplies. We have enough for 8 more months if we keep eating at current levels, Hannah replied. The doctor monitored their health and the supplies. The greenhouse is working, but growing too slowly. They sat around a small table in what used to be the station's dining area. Their faces looked thin. No one was starving yet, but no one was full either. Water recycling is at 93% efficiency, Sun reported. The engineer had been working day and night to keep their systems running. But the air filters are wearing out faster than expected. Jin looked up from her screen. I'm still getting strange readings from the surface. The air is changing again. June nodded. He had been studying the Vrek's effects on Earth's atmosphere. They're terraforming, changing Earth to suit themselves. The question is, what exactly do they need? Who cares what they need? Jin snapped. They killed everyone we ever knew. June stayed calm. Jin's anger was understandable. Everyone dealt with grief differently. If we understand what they're doing to Earth, we might find a weakness. The meeting continued with updates on their projects. They had established routines to maintain the station and their sanity. Mornings for station maintenance, afternoons for research, evenings for personal time and rest. After the meeting, Jun returned to his small lab. It was once used for analyzing ice cores. Now he used it to study the changing atmosphere. The computer models showed patterns in how the Vrek were altering Earth's chemistry. A sudden shout from the communications room broke his concentration. I got something. A signal. Jin's voice echoed through the station. Everyone rushed to her station. Jin's fingers flew over the keyboard as she tried to clean up the weak signal. It's Morse code, she said, excitement making her voice shake. From the moon base. Before the attack, 12 scientists had been stationed at the small research facility on the moon. No one had expected them to survive either. What are they saying? Dai asked, leaning close to the screen. Survivors on moon. 8 people. Limited supplies. Earth appears destroyed. Are there any survivors? Jin translated the beeping signal. Silence fell as they absorbed this news. They weren't alone. Send back that we're here, Jun said finally. But be careful. Use the tight beam transmitter and encrypt it. We don't want the Vrek to detect us. As Jin prepared the message, Dad pulled Jun aside. This changes things, the security chief said quietly. If the moon base survived, others might have too. Jun nodded. I've been thinking the same thing. The Vrek attacked population centers and burned the atmosphere. But deep underground facilities might be safe. We need to find out how widespread their control is, Dae said. We need to see the surface. The idea sent a chill through June. No one had been outside since the attack. Their external cameras showed a changed world. Dark skies filled with strange clouds, temperatures that swung wildly, and occasional glimpses of wrecked machines moving across the ice. It's too dangerous, June argued. The air is toxic. We have the environmental suits, Dad countered. Limited oxygen, yes, but enough for a short trip. We need to know what we're facing. Before June could respond, Jin called out again. There's more. The moon base says they've been watching the Vrek with their telescope. They're building something huge in Asia. And, she paused, they think they've detected other human signals, faint ones, from deep underground facilities. Hope sparked in June's chest again. If other humans had survived, perhaps humanity had a chance after all. Okay, he told Da. We'll prepare for a surface mission, but we need to be smart about this. One mistake, and the Vrek will find us. Day nodded grimly. They think they killed us all. Let's keep it that way. For now. 1 year after the burning of Earth, the station felt smaller than ever. The walls seemed to close in a little more each day. But today, something was different. Today, there was excitement. Look at this, Hannah said, pointing to her microscope. The algae samples we exposed to the surface air, they are changing. June leaned over to look. The single-cell organisms had been normal green algae before exposure. Now they glowed with a faint blue light. They're not just surviving the toxic air, Hannah continued. They're using it. Somehow they've adapted to process the new chemicals. This was the first good news in months. Their surface missions had been brief and dangerous. The world outside was alien now. Strange plants growing in the snow, odd creatures scuttling across the ice, and huge wreck machines digging into the earth. Could we use this? Jin asked, looking hopeful for the first time in weeks. Could we adapt too? Hannah shook her head. Not naturally. These are simple organisms. They change quickly. Human bodies can't adapt fast enough. The room fell silent again. But June's mind was racing. Something about this seemed familiar. Wait, he said suddenly. Professor Kim's research. Before the attack, he was working on something similar. Professor Kim had been June's mentor at Seoul University. He had specialized in extreme environment adaptation. His work had seemed theoretical. Until now. June rushed to his quarters and dug through his tablet's files. He had downloaded all his research before coming to Antarctica. There it was, Professor Kim's last paper. Human adaptation to extreme environments. Theoretical applications. He brought the tablet back to the lab. Look at this. Professor Kim was developing a way to help humans survive in toxic environments. He called it guided adaptation. The others gathered around to read. This is genetic modification, Daz said slowly. He wanted to change human DNA. Not just change it, June explained. He wanted to give it the ability to adapt quickly, like these algae. The body would sense environmental threats and evolve to counter them. That's impossible, some said. The engineer looked skeptical. Humans can't evolve that fast. It was theoretical, June admitted. But there's more. In his private notes, he mentions test results. I think he got further than he revealed publicly. Hannah took the tablet and read carefully. These protocols, they might work, especially if we combine them with what we've learned from our algae samples. Are you suggesting we experiment on ourselves? Jin asked, eyes wide. That's crazy. Is it? Dai asked quietly. Look at our situation. Our supplies won't last forever. The surface is toxic to humans. The Vrek are changing Earth to suit themselves. What's our alternative? The debate lasted for days. The risk was enormous. The process could kill them. But slowly, they all came to the same conclusion. They had no other choice. There's something else, June told them when they made their final decision. The moon base sent new information. The Vrek are preparing ships to leave Earth. Some are already gone. They're leaving. Sung asked. Why? They just got here. They're not abandoning Earth, June explained. They're taking Earth's resources to other planets. This is what they do. They strip worlds and move on. They think they've killed all intelligent life here. So they won't be looking for us, Daz said thoughtfully. Exactly. We have time to try this. If it works. June didn't finish the sentence. They all knew what it meant. If it worked, they might reclaim their world. Hannah stood up. I'll start preparing the lab. We'll need to create the genetic treatment based on Professor Kim's protocols. As the others left to begin work, Jun stayed behind. He looked at the small algae sample, glowing blue under the microscope light. Something had survived the burning of Earth. Something had adapted. And now, maybe humans could too. Pain. That was all June could feel. His body burned from the inside out. Each breath hurt. Each heartbeat sent fire through his veins. Stay with us, June. Hannah's voice seemed to come from far away. Your body is fighting the changes. You need to hold on. The adaptation process had begun 3 days ago. They had started with Da. As the strongest, they thought he had the best chance to survive. For 2 days, he had screamed in pain. Then, on the third day, he woke up changed. Now it was Jun's turn. After him would come Hana, then Sung, then Jin, if they survived. Jun felt a cool cloth on his forehead. Through blurry eyes, he saw Dai standing over him. Dai looked different now. His skin had a slight blue tint. His eyes were larger, with a reflective quality like a cat's. "It gets better," Dai said, his voice deeper than before. "The pain stops. And then you feel the power." Jun tried to nod, but another wave of pain washed over him. He blacked out. When he woke again, his mind felt clear, incredibly clear. Thoughts raced through his head faster than ever before. He could remember everything he had ever read, every conversation he had ever had. "He's stabilizing," Hannah said, checking the monitors. "Heart rate normal. Brain activity extremely high." Jun sat up slowly. The pain was gone. In its place was a strange new feeling, as if his body hummed with energy. "How do you feel?" Dai asked. "Different," Jun said. His voice sounded normal to his ears. "My mind. I can think so clearly now." Hana nodded. "The adaptation affects each person differently. It seems to enhance what was already strong in you." Dai's physical strength increased. "Your mental abilities appear enhanced." Jun looked around the lab. Everything seemed sharper, more detailed. He could see tiny dust particles floating in the air. He could hear the soft hum of equipment that had always been background noise before. "Did it work?" he asked. "Can we survive the surface now?" "We think so," Dai said. "I went outside yesterday. Just for a minute. I could breathe the air. It tasted strange, but it didn't hurt me." Hope surged through Jun. If they could survive on the surface, they could fight back. They could reclaim their world. The next week was difficult. Hana went through the process next. Her body developed amazing healing abilities. Cuts and bruises healed in minutes. She theorized that she could now help others heal too. Sung's transformation gave him resistance to radiation and extreme temperatures. Jin developed enhanced senses. She could see in the dark and hear conversations through walls. They were still human, but changed, adapted, evolved. 1 month after the first transformation, they stood together at the station's airlock. Each wore a simple mask, not a full suit. The masks were just backup protection as they tested their new abilities. "Ready?" Dai asked. They nodded. Jun felt nervous but excited. His enhanced mind had already calculated their chances of survival at 92.7%. Good odds. The airlock opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed in, air that would have killed them before. Now they breathed it without problem. They stepped outside into the Antarctic twilight. The world looked alien. The sky was a strange purple-green color. The ice had patches of blue-black plants growing on it. In the distance, a wreck machine moved slowly across the landscape, gathering resources. "We did it," Hana whispered. "We can survive here now." Jun nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. "This is just the beginning. We need to find other survivors, share the adaptation process, build our strength." Dai looked toward the distant wreck machine. "And then we take back our planet." As they stood on the surface of their changed world, Jun felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Certainty. The Vrek thought they had destroyed humanity. They were wrong. Humanity had not been destroyed. It had evolved. And soon, the Vrek would learn what a terrible mistake they had made. The world was dead, but they were not. 2 months after their transformation, the 5 survivors left their underground home. They packed what they could carry: tools, weapons, communication devices, and the precious formula that had changed them. The rest they left behind. Their first goal was to reach the coast. From there, they planned to find a vote. The moon base had reported Vrek activity was lower in some parts of the world. Those were the places they needed to reach. "Stay low," Dodd warned as they crossed a ridge. Below them stretched a vast plain of dark ice. In the distance, 3 Vrek machines moved slowly, digging into the ground. The Vrek machines were like giant metal spiders, with long legs and spinning drills. They pulled minerals from the earth and loaded them onto floating platforms. They don't have guards, Jin noted, her enhanced vision allowing her to see details the others couldn't. They don't expect any threats. Why would they? Sung replied. They think they killed everything. They moved carefully, staying hidden behind ice formations. The sky above was a strange mix of green and purple. The air smelled like metal and something sweet. June, what are you seeing? Dai asked. June was staring at one of the Vrek machines, his enhanced mind processing every detail. Their technology. It's not that far beyond ours, he said slowly. Different, yes, but not magical. We could understand it. Maybe even use it. First, we need to find other humans. Hannah reminded him. If they're out there, they'll need our help to adapt. They reached the coast after 3 days of careful travel. The ocean was different now, darker, with strange patterns swirling beneath the surface. New life forms created by the Vrek's changes. A small boat was still docked at an abandoned research outpost. They repaired it and prepared to leave Antarctica. Where do we go? Jin asked as they loaded their supplies. June unfolded a map marked with locations. The moon base detected underground energy signatures here, and here. Old military bunkers and deep mines. If people survived, they might be there. That's halfway around the world, Sung said, looking at the distance. We have time, Dae replied. The Vrek think they've won. They're not hunting for survivors. As they prepared to leave, June took one last look at the research station that had been their home. Then he turned to the sea and their uncertain future. The journey was long and dangerous. They sailed through storms and past floating Vrek platforms. They saw new creatures in the water, things that had adapted to the changed oceans much like they had adapted to the air. 2 weeks into their journey, they spotted their first Vrek up close. The alien stood on a floating platform, directing the loading of minerals. It was tall and thin, with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. It wore no protective gear. The toxic air that had killed billions of humans was perfect for it. They're not even armed, Da whispered as they watched from a distance. They have no fear. That will change, Jun promised. They reached the mainland of what had once been Asia. The continents looked different now. The burning had changed coastlines, melted ice caps, created new waterways. Cities were gone, replaced by Vrek processing centers. The aliens moved materials efficiently, stripping Earth of its resources. There, Jin pointed to a mountain range in the distance. I can see lights. Underground lights. They approached carefully. A hidden entrance was built into the mountainside, covered with rocks and new plant growth. Hello, Dae called through the small opening they found. Is anyone there? We're human. Silence. Then a voice, rough from disuse. Prove it. We survived the burning, Jun called back. We have a way to breathe the new air. We can help you. A pause. Then the sound of heavy machinery. The entrance opened wider, revealing a dark tunnel. A face appeared, thin, pale from months underground, but human. How? The man asked simply. Jun held up the container with their adaptation formula. We changed, he said. And now, you can too. The mountain base was bigger than they expected. Tunnels ran deep into the earth, filled with people, over 300 survivors. We were a mine before the attack, explained Min, the base leader. When the burning started, we sealed the entrances. We've been here ever since. The survivors gathered around Jun and his friends. They looked thin and tired, but their eyes showed hope for the first time in months. Your changes, Min said, studying Da's blue-tinted skin and Jin's reflective eyes. Are they safe? Hannah stepped forward. The process is painful, and there are risks. But those who survive can live on the surface again, breathe the new air, fight back. Whispers spread through the crowd. Some looked afraid, others eager. We have enough formula for everyone, Jun said. But we don't have to rush. We can start with volunteers. 20 people stepped forward that day. Hana supervised the process. 5 didn't survive. The others emerged changed, like Jun and his friends, each with different enhancements. This is just the beginning, Jun told them. There are other survivors out there. We need to find them. Over the next month, they set up a communication system using parts from Vrek technology that Jin and Sung had studied. The Vrek used a type of radio wave that traveled through earth and water. By copying this technology, they could send messages that the Vrek wouldn't notice. We've received responses from 3 locations, Jin announced one day. A submarine base in what used to be the Pacific, a deep science lab under the old Europe, and a space station still in orbit. Space? Dai asked, surprised. How have they survived this long? Solar power and good recycling systems, Jin explained. But they're running out of supplies. They want to come down. Can they? Min asked. In this atmosphere? Jun nodded. With the adaptation formula, yes. We can guide them to land here. The transformed humans began venturing out more often. They collected samples of the new plants and animals. They mapped Vrek movements. They learned. Jun spent most of his time studying Vrek technology and language. His enhanced mind could see patterns where others saw only random symbols. They're not just one species, he told the others after weeks of study. The Vrek are many species working together. They call themselves the Collectors. Collectors of what? Asked a newly transformed survivor named Yu. Worlds, Jun said simply. They find planets, burn away the native life, extract resources, and move on. They've done this many times before. To other intelligent species? Hana asked, horrified. Jun nodded. According to their records, yes. But, he paused, thinking how to explain. They don't see it as wrong. In their view, only space-traveling species deserve respect. All others are just animals. We traveled in space, Dai argued. Not far enough for them to notice, Jun explained. They have rules about which species count as intelligent. We didn't qualify. The news was disturbing, but it gave them purpose. They weren't just fighting for Earth now. They were fighting for all worlds that might face the Collectors in the future. 6 months after finding the mountain base, their network had grown. 5 bases connected by hidden communications, over 1,000 adapted humans, small victories against the Vrek, stealing technology and supplies. We're still too few, Daz said during a planning meeting. We need more people, more bases, and we need to understand them better, Jun added. Their weaknesses, their plans. Jin looked up from her communication station, her face serious. I just received a message from the Pacific base, she said. They've captured a Vrek. Alive. The room fell silent. This was their chance to learn more about their enemy. Tell them we're coming, Jun said. It's time to know exactly what we're fighting. The captured Vrek was kept in a special room at the Pacific base. The room had thick walls and air that matched the outside atmosphere. The Vrek sat still, its skin changing colors slowly, blues and greens flowing like water. Can it understand us? Dai asked. I think so, Jun replied. Their records show they study planets before attacking. They must know our languages. Jun stepped closer to the clear wall separating them from the alien. Why did you burn our world? He asked clearly. The Vrek's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Then it spoke, its voice like stones sliding together. Resources, efficient collection, standard procedure. We were intelligent beings, Hana said angrily. We had a civilization. Pre-space full travel species, the Vrek replied flatly. Non-protected category. The questioning continued for hours. The Vrek answered simply, without emotion. It didn't see humans as equals. To it, they were like ants whose nest had been destroyed. Unfortunate, but unimportant. What would happen if your leaders knew we survived? That we adapted? June asked. The Vrek's skin flashed red briefly. Impossible. No species has survived cleansing before. That was what June needed to know. The Vrek weren't prepared for resistance. They had no plan for dealing with survivors. After the questioning, the adapted humans gathered to plan. We need to know more about their operations, Daz said. We should infiltrate their facilities. Infiltrate? Min asked. How? We don't look like them. We don't need to, Jin explained. They have blind spots. Their sensors are designed to detect their own technology and large life forms. Our adapted bodies read differently. I've been studying their security during our observations. June nodded, and they don't expect any threat. That's our advantage. They chose a small Vrek processing facility for their first mission. Dai would lead, with Jin using her enhanced senses to detect danger. 4 other adapted humans would join them. The facility stood on what used to be a human city. Now it was just metal structures and strange machines. The team approached at night, though the strange sky never got fully dark anymore. Stay low and move slowly, Dai instructed. Remember, they don't expect us. They don't fear us. They slipped past the outer area easily. No guards, no fences. The Vrek had no reason for such things on a dead world. Inside, they found answers. The facility contained communication equipment linking to Vrek ships. Jin copied data while the others explored. Look at this, one team member whispered, pointing to a large map. It showed Earth, with markers across its surface. These must be all their facilities. Day nodded. Copy everything. June will want to see it all. They took samples of Vrek technology too, small pieces that wouldn't be missed. As they prepared to leave, they heard a Vrek approaching. Everyone froze. The Vrek entered the room, moving with smooth steps on its 4 legs. It stopped, sensing something wrong. Before it could react, Da moved. His enhanced strength let him cross the room in a flash. One quick motion, and the Vrek fell silently. We need to go. Now, he said. They escaped without raising alarms. The mission was a success. Back at the base, Jun studied the stolen data. His enhanced mind processed the information quickly. This is better than I hoped, he told the others. We have locations, schedules, communications protocols, and something else, the location of their command center. Command center? Hannah asked. Jun pointed to a spot on the map, a large facility in what used to be Central Asia. That's where they coordinate all Earth operations. And look at this. He showed them a schedule. In 3 months, most of their ships will leave. They're almost done stripping our planet. They'll leave just a small force behind. That's when we strike, Daz said firmly. June nodded. Yes. But first, we need to hit smaller targets, learn their weaknesses, build our forces. Across the room, the communication system beeped. Jin checked the message. The space station survivors have landed safely, she announced, and they brought something with them. Experimental weapons from the orbital defense platform. For the first time since Earth burned, the adapted humans had a clear target and the means to fight back. Over the next month, the adapted humans struck more Vrek facilities. Each mission gave them more information and technology. The Vrek began to notice something was wrong, but they couldn't understand what was happening. Their sensors weren't designed to detect the adapted humans. Their increasing security, Jin reported after their latest mission, adding more guards and new sensor types. Good, Daz said with a rare smile. That means we're hurting them. The weapons from the space station had proved effective. They were designed to disrupt Vrek technology, causing their machines to shut down without damaging the surrounding area. While the others planned more attacks, Jun focused on a bigger goal. Using parts taken from Vrek communication devices, he built a system to access their main data network. If this works, he explained to Hannah, we can learn everything. their plans, their weaknesses, their history. After many failed attempts, Jung finally succeeded. The Vrek data network opened to him like a vast library. With his enhanced mind, he began to read and understand their records. What he found changed everything. They'd done this before, he told the others during an emergency meeting. Not just a few times, hundreds of times, thousands. The collectors have been burning worlds for millions of years. The room fell silent. How many? How many other intelligent species? Sung asked quietly. 73, Jung replied. 73 species that had developed language, civilization, and technology, but hadn't yet achieved space travel. All burned. All gone. The horror of it was hard to accept. Not just Earth, but dozens of other worlds with their own cultures and histories, all destroyed for resources. But there's something else, Jung continued. Something important. We're the first. The first what? Min asked. The first to survive. The first to adapt. The first to fight back. Jung's eyes glowed with intensity. In all their records, there's no mention of any species surviving the burning. They have no protocol for this situation because it's never happened before. Day leaned forward. Does that give us an advantage? Yes, Jung said firmly. And I found something else. The location of their homeworld and their interstellar transport system. He showed them a map of space with glowing lines connecting star systems. The collectors used these transit points to move between stars. They're like doors that open to other places. That's how they travel so far, so fast. And their homeworld? Hannah asked. Jung pointed to a star. Here, this is where their leaders are. This is where they coordinate the burning of all worlds. The implications were clear. If humans could reach the transit points, they could take the fight beyond Earth. They could stop the collectors from burning other worlds. But we can't leave Earth now, Min argued. We're barely holding our own here. We won't all go, Jung explained. Just a small team. The rest stay here to continue the fight and rebuild. But someone needs to warn other worlds. Stop this from happening again. Their debate lasted for hours. It was the biggest decision they had faced since choosing to adapt their bodies. Finally, Dai stood. Jung is right. We need to think beyond Earth now. The collectors didn't just attack us. They've attacked countless worlds. They'll attack more if we don't stop them. There's one more thing in the data, Jung added. Their next target. A world with intelligent life, just beginning to develop technology. They plan to burn it in 50 years. That settled it. They would fight for Earth, but they would also fight for all worlds threatened by the collectors. How do we get to the transit point? Jin asked. June smiled. We steal their ships. 5 years had passed since the burning of Earth. 5 years of hiding, learning, adapting, and fighting. Now it was time for the final battle. All teams report ready, Jin announced. Her communication system connected all 7 human bases across the planet. June looked at the map showing their targets. 23 Vrek facilities would be attacked at the same time. The largest attack was aimed at the main command center in Central Asia. Remember, June told the gathered fighters, we need their ships intact. Disable, don't destroy. The adapted humans had grown strong. There were over 5,000 of them now, each with unique abilities. Some could run faster than any normal human. Others could see in darkness or hear the faintest sounds. All could survive in the changed atmosphere of Earth. The Vrek still outnumber us, Day reminded them. But they don't expect us. They still think they're alone on this planet. Not for much longer, Sung said with a grim smile. The attack began at dawn. Teams of adapted humans moved against Vrek facilities worldwide. They used the weapons from the space station and new ones they had developed by studying Vrek technology. June, Dai, Hana, Sung, and Jin led the attack on the main command center. This was the heart of Vrek operations on Earth. If they could capture it, they could control all Vrek technology on the planet. Security is heavier here, Jin whispered as they approached. Multiple guards and new sensor types. Can they detect us? Dai asked. Jin shook her head. Not yet, but we need to move fast. They slipped past the outer defenses. The years of fighting had made them skilled and silent. The Vrek had improved their security, but the adapted humans had improved faster. The first alarm sounded when they reached the central building. Vrek guards moved to stop them. Dai's team engaged them while Jun, Hana, and a small group continued toward the command room. The fighting was brief but intense. The Vrek had never faced organized resistance before. They didn't know how to respond to an enemy that could breathe their air and resist their weapons. This way, Jun called, his enhanced mind guiding them through the complex. The main control center is just ahead. They broke through the final door to find 5 Vrek commanders. The aliens turned in shock, their skin flashing warning colors. Impossible, one said in its grinding voice. Dead world. No survivors. You were wrong, Jun replied simply. Earth survived. We survived. The Vrek commanders were captured quickly. Across the planet, other teams reported similar success. The surprise had worked. Most Vrek had surrendered when faced with the impossible, humans who had adapted to their poisoned world. Central Command captured, Jun reported to all teams. Proceed with Phase 2. Phase 2 was the most daring part of their plan. Using captured Vrek ships, 3 teams would leave Earth. 1 to warn the next world the Collectors' plan to burn. 1 to find other spacefaring races who might help fight the Collectors. And 1, led by Jun, to take the fight to the Collectors' homeworld. As Jun prepared to board the ship, Hana stopped him. You know this is just the beginning, she said. Even if we win today, rebuilding Earth will take generations. Jun nodded. But we will rebuild, and we'll make sure no other world faces what we faced. From the ship's viewport, Jun watched Earth grow smaller. The planet looked strange now, with its purple-green atmosphere and changed landscape. But it was still home, still worth fighting for. As the ship approached the transit point that would take them to distant stars, Jun received a message from Earth. Da had captured the Vrek communications array and sent a signal to the Collector's homeworld. The message was simple. Earth is not dead. Humanity survived. And we are coming. The Collectors had burned Earth, thinking they had destroyed all intelligent life. They were wrong. Something had survived. Something had adapted. Something had evolved. And now, that something was taking the fight to the stars. The end